morning. This is...
Wait a minute. That's not Katrina.
He's acting like I'm not here.
Well, good morning. This is Katrina Madewell with Keller Williams and Tampa Home Talk. I'm joined by Leo Kern from Barrel Engineering.
Somebody's feisty this morning.
You know, he misses one show and he just shows up as a ball of energy.
I know, right? He's like excited.
Well, I'm just coming off that Grow Florida award that we picked up last night.
Wow.
That was in Orlando. It was awesome. We're at the Hard Rock Live, fully catered event. 50 of the top companies in Florida out of a group of like 1,000 were selected. We were one of 3 from Tampa that was in the pool of 50.
What group?
They're called second stage businesses, so they're businesses with revenue of more than $750,000. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of rich CEOs there.
Awesome.
So networking, met some really cool people, got an award that looks like a hurricane.
That's cool.
Yeah, like a gold hurricane with a red background.
I tell you, the Hard Rock Live venue is incredible. If you haven't been there before, incredible venue, isn't it?
It's a great venue. I mean, they had a dueling piano set up.
Oh, I love dueling pianos. That's the best.
But they were kind of cooperative. They weren't really... I like the dueling where they're fighting with each other.
Ah, okay.
But but the award was very prestigious. I mean, there was Televoips was another local company that got it. Mother Kombucha. Those were the 3 from this area. Kombucha. But it was phenomenal just be recognized by such a large organization. I mean, there were CEOs from Fortune 500 companies around the nation that were at the judging panel.
Wow, that's so great.
So that's why I'm kind of like, wow, this is exciting.
So the judging panel, what was that based on? What did they pick you on?
It's criteria. Yeah. We had to talk about why we deserved the award. We had to talk about our business growth, how we're going to develop, because it's Grow Florida. So there are businesses that they think will become second stage to third stage, and I don't know what those different stages are.
Okay.
I just know you have to be above $750,000 in revenue to become a second stage.
Got it.
But I don't know what third stage is.
Awesome.
Yeah, so this was great.
Well, congratulations on the growth, and congratulations on the award.
Thank you.
And we love doing business with you, so we certainly will support your growth as well. You guys do just a great job on the inspections. We know a lot of your inspectors, and they just do a good job.
I appreciate that. And we talked about the radio show there.
Did you?
Yeah.
What'd you say? How'd that come out?
I said we're part of a Dave Ramsey LP series of the Money Talk. We do the real estate side. Basically plugging this show that you're listening to right now. So I appreciate everyone that's listening. And I said we're on 1010 AM. We're on a couple of FM stations, but since we're mostly
talk. That would be 103.1, 92.1.
But since we're mostly talk, I just do the 1010 AM.
Yeah, people are if you're flipping around, though, and you're in the car moving around, those FMs are pretty awesome to have.
Yeah, considering there's only like 4 AM stations on the whole dial.
Yeah, there's not many these days.
It's all sports.
I don't like AM personally. I have HD in my car, so I listen to us on HD when I'm...
Well, AM actually, the signal back in the day, AM doesn't have as great of a quality of sound, but it travels further, which is why they use it for talk, because we don't really have to worry about the true quality of our sound, because the waveforms of music, we don't have bass guitar and all that stuff.
That's true.
That's why FM's more popular, but the band on FM's smaller. So you can actually, and if you've ever looked at our scatter map of our broadcast range, our AM blob is much bigger than the FM blobs.
So is the HD blob.
Yes, the HD
blob's huge. All right, trivia question for you, Leo. First thing in the morning, since you're so spicy and ready to go. I was taking bets, actually. You're going to be late, so I was wrong.
Why would I be late? Because I was in Orlando last night?
The weather, and, you're such a morning person.
Well, my wife got next to the Hard Rock Live, if you ever have a chance to go there, there's a chocolate steampunk emporium type thing. It looks like a steampunk chocolate shop. They make the best milkshakes.
Wow.
Yeah, you walk in there and it looks all steampunky. With those of you who don't know, that's Victorian era dress, but it's like today's technology, but they never mastered anything past steam engines. So you can have a cell phone, but it's going to be made with like clock gears and stuff.
Yeah.
So that's the best way to describe steampunk.
And all black, right? Mostly black.
No.
Mostly black?
No.
No, yeah, you're right.
No.
Victorian era.
Yeah, it's like the actors last night, they're usually lots of browns usually because there's lots of leather. But the actresses last night were wearing these blue dresses with like a brown and red corset. So, yeah, there was very little black.
Sounds awesome.
That was fun. But, yeah, best milkshakes ever.
Well, have to keep that in mind when in Rome. You're going to be on that side of town next week, Adam, so you have to go check it out.
Trivia.
So I was Wednesday at the station, popped on Shriner's show for a while. We had a really great call-in, and the guy was actually asking about the Sadowski Fund. Are you familiar with it?
I'm not familiar with the Sadowski
I'm
Fund.
so surprised. Okay. I knew what he was talking about. Couldn't remember the name right off top, and we're definitely going to be covering it in the future. That should be interesting. It could go a little political because
How do
you
you
look it up.
spell that? I'll need to research it. The
I
spelling
can
is not
spell anything when I write it. It's
So-
Sadowski.
oh, just like it sounds.
Yeah. So the Sadowski Fund, this is funded actually through your doc stamps on your deed. So that's 70 cents per thousand transfer tax. A big chunk of that goes to the Sadowski Fund, which is meant for affordable housing.
So this is a Mike Fasano question.
Not at all, even way higher. Like this is probably Gus Bilirakis all the way up to,
Who's Gus
Florida Senate.
Bilirakis?
He is, you're going to ask me, he's a politician. He was the local politician for a while and has moved up in the Florida ranks. So it's like Rick Scott and then Marco Rubio and then Gus Bilirakis, and then it goes down to your local people. So whatever the pecking order is. What was that?
Congressman.
He said congressman.
Congressman.
Mike
Thank
Fasano
you.
used to be a congressman.
No, but anyway, so the Sadowski Fund, this is used for affordable housing. And so the affordable housing is, the money that we have that goes in, it doesn't go far enough, but we actually have plenty of money in those funds. They just get swept a lot and get used for other things. So this is going to be a whole lot of homework just to prepare for the show, tracking all these funds, looking to see where they went and all that. We're going to cover it in the future.
Oh, so this is investigative reporting.
Well, we're going to cover it in the future. It's a lot of people have never heard of it, but the Sadowski Fund is used to fund affordable housing. And so it was interesting because obviously I read a lot of housing stuff. So like in my Google pop-up, I see everything like housing related and that kind of stuff. It kind of points towards me. So I saw this thing pop up this morning and I literally prepared for this on the fly in about 15 minutes. But I found a lot of information. I dug really quickly to get you some of this info. But it was one of these reports that come up and says, U.S. housing market bubble races towards a crash as foreclosures jump. And I thought, what? I don't even think that's relevant for our area. I'm going to pull the greater Tampa Bay area, including Pasco, Hillsborough, Pinellas, and see how accurate those numbers are, just foreclosure data. So I did. I have those numbers for you. But it's interesting. Here, I'll let you read some of the report.
I thought the data, when we did the third quarter review, it was pretty flat from year to year on
It
foreclosures.
is, and I'm going to go over the numbers, but if you want to, since you're the speed reader, Leo, you can pick through some of those things in that report and just mention anything that kind of jumps out at you. But I just thought it's interesting, and then as I dug a little bit more, because they pulled that research report from Adam Data, what I found was a lot of that data was based out of the Illinois, Chicago-ish market. So apparently their foreclosures are up.
Yeah, they're up 14%.
Yeah. Now ours, it'll be 2 more days before Florida Realtors pulls the stats for October. But according to the September numbers, our foreclosures are down 1.6%. And short sales are down even further, like 61%.
Oh, this is an actually Associated Press article. There's using the word puny in this. I didn't think that by comparison, growth in wages was a puny 16%.
Yeah. So anyway, I pulled their information and their data, and it looks like it's 2 metropolitan areas in the Illinois area is now ranked highest and worst in foreclosure rate, and they're up 17% over last month. So I said, you know what? Let me just look at our data to see what that looks like.
None of this is even close to us.
Exactly.
We only had 15 short sales in 1 month. That's like really low.
This is September. 4 counties.
That's
4
amazing,
counties.
right?
Yeah.
Short sales are really tough to pull off. Because once the bank finds out who's buying, and they're like, well, we would have accepted this until we found out who you are, so we're going to raise the price by $75,000.
We have one closing today, so we get them done. They're not.
You're one of the 15?
Yeah, and we have another one closing next week. I mean, we do a lot of them. What's left? Apparently, there's not a lot. I would say our percentage of what's in the market's pretty high. Anyway, so I looked at the numbers for Pinellas, Hillsborough, and Pasco just last month. So we could look at these, and I'll get to these really quick before I run into
We're
the
at
break.
the first break? This is so fast.
Already.
Well, we had to honor you and all your success.
I pulled 45 days back, okay? So this is 30 days and the first 15 right now, as of this morning. Pinellas had 38 foreclosures active, 51 pending, 60 sold. Hillsborough had 68 active, 98 pending, 89 sold. And Pasco had 38 active, 44 pending, and 47 sold. So we'll talk about this data when we come back right after the break, and then we'll get to like the meat and the potatoes of what we were really going to talk about for this hour, which none of this was actually on the outline. So,
I hijacked the first
you're listening to Tampa Home Talk. We're having a good time chatting with you about it. Please bring your ideas. We welcome them very much. You can call or text us at 813-377-2775, 813-377-2775. We'll be back in just a moment.
Well, good morning. Welcome back. Adam's all set up from Adam Talley Insurance with a little laptop doing a little typey over there. You look all so official.
I gotta sell that insurance for you guys.
You're doing it now while we're on the air?
No, I was looking at something. I'm pressed on time on something for one of our all of our mutual clients here. You know,
he's going to work while we're on the air.
Multitasking. I respect that.
I love it.
And then you got Katrina, who's prepping for the next hour. Katrina Madewell from Tampa Home Talk and Keller Williams Realty.
Actually, we're having Sarah Cricky on the next hour, and we're going to talk about some really cool stuff related to home ownership. We were actually going to, ironically, talk about some of the down payment assistance. And then she told me late yesterday, I think the city might be out of money. They've had plenty, and now we think it might be gone. Anyway, she'll verify that for us the next hour.
Well, don't they always run out of money around now, and then the tax money starts coming in?
Well, again, that points back to the Sadowski Fund, right? It's not all of it, but they fund like the SHIP program.
So you're going to mention this fund that no one knows about. Political.
It's been around forever.
The Sadowski Fund.
And I'm surprised, really, somebody I know that's a team leader at Keller Williams' office. I saw him yesterday at an ALC meeting, and he was a real estate attorney in a prior life, and he'd never heard of it either. And I said, really? You've never heard of the Sadowski Fund, part of the doc stamps?
You found the Illuminati's money source.
Yeah, going into affordable homeownership. Anyway.
The Illuminati, get out of here.
So what makes a home an affordable home?
Well, you have to look at the median price, right? And then the income for the area. All of those things play a factor, right? One of the things in this report, which was interesting, it was the first part. Let me see if I can find it. No, it's the one you were just looking at, Leo. Did you take it?
Oh,
no, it's here. So one of the things was that they were saying in here, and this is pretty accurate, and this is why with the feds increasing the rates this year, it really wasn't the best thing to do when you look at basic economics, because in here they're talking about how growth basically being outpaced because the jobs and the incomes can't keep up with the cost of the housing market. And so what happens is you get a bunch of cash infused in the market, which is what we've seen in very recent years. And basically, the homeowners can't keep up. I had this whole conversation last night with a seller that was preparing to sell their home and buy another one, kind of figuring out where to start, how to put in all those pieces together. And they're moving up in price, so they're going to buy probably around $400,000 price. She's pregnant, so by the time the baby comes, they really will have outgrown the house. And so another agent that had interviewed before me was trying to pressure them into what I call it just a scare tactic, because they said, the prices are going up 5% every year. So if you wait a year, you're not going to be able to afford to buy the house. You'll be priced out of the market. And I thought, well, first of all, you don't know anything about their income. You didn't ask any of those questions. You don't know what their debt to ratio income is. You don't know what they can afford. You didn't ask any of the crucial questions that really should be asked to kind of figure out where they're at. And so she made a very interesting point that most sellers wouldn't, because they're thinking about everything else. And she said, well, even if that's true and it did go up, wouldn't the price of our house go up? And I said, yeah, you're right. And the same thing is true if it were to drop, right? Or if it were to go down, you're going to get a really good deal on the one you're buying, but you might get a little beat up on the one you're selling too. And so the flip side to that is, like, when you look at the whole thing and we dive in, we realize, well, Grandma actually has a second home here. She doesn't even occupy it in all of mostly spring, all of summer, going into fall. And so when she's gone, that's another option. They could live there totally rent-free and have basic expenses. And then basically they were connected through Dave and his group, so they're on the debt snowball trying to pay off 2 cars, and they have their mortgage payment, and that's all they have. So we talked about a lot of basic things, right? Like including the fact that, and Sarah Cricky can certainly chat about this next hour, But the cost of 15-year money, we're not seeing those rates substantially better over 30-year money. And so my suggestion for a young family like that is take the 30-year note and make the 15-year payment. You have that flexibility if something happens. You can make that lower payment if you need to for a month or two. And it just opens up a lot of flexibility. But what I don't like is when agents try to go in and use these scare tactics, right? And try to tell a family like that, oh, you won't be able to afford to buy if you don't buy now.
But I say it's that you have to live somewhere argument. If you're not an investor and you're only dealing with one property, you buy high, you sell high, you buy low, you sell low. You just have to live somewhere.
You do. And so do I think eventually, and I've said this for a while, I don't know if it's 10 years or 20 years, I think Tampa is going to price a lot like San Diego, where if you don't already live here and own, you will be priced out of the market to purchase. For a lot of people, it's going to take a lot to save up to actually buy. When you look at our median price compared to theirs, and the fact that the income, it's lower here, but it's not, the number ratio doesn't add up, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like for their median cost compared to what their median income is.
Right.
Their FHA limits are pretty high, I know that.
Wow.
Anyway.
Yeah, our FHA limits are around $300,000 in Hillsborough.
Are they?
Yeah.
Ours are 300. I think theirs were 6 something. I was trying to think what theirs were. I think theirs was in the neighborhood of 600,000 and somewhere. That's like literally double.
I'm just glad they finally changed that in October of 2017 because it used to be just 270,000 flat all over the place. So everyone was going Fannie Mae.
Those other markets were completely priced out. They had no option for them. Conventional, right? 3% down. So just it's a little tougher to qualify sometimes for those over FHA, but always pick conventional over FHA if you can. For one, MIP is permanent for the life of the loan. Really expensive. Only insures a lender against default. And like I was telling this other couple, they're going to have between 10 and 20% to put down. They're not sure. And I said, don't let that be the driving factor of what house you pick. When you find the right one, then move on it. But in the meantime, we do this all the time for many clients, what they call an 80-10-10. And what I love about the people that come from Dave Ramsey's group is they understand the debt snowball principle. So if they're paying off debt or almost, in the middle of that or almost paying it off or almost done, they understand that if they take an 80% first, a 10% second, and 10% down, not only are you not paying any PMI, but you treat that second loan like a debt snowball and you pay it off quickly. In the meantime, when you look at the difference in the payments, right, compared to a 10% down loan and an 80-10-10, if you pay just that difference, you're going to pay down your principal faster than just taking a regular loan. So you have to understand finance and the numbers and how they work, or have somebody explain it to you, at least compare them side by side. It's definitely worth exploring.
Then you get the amortization tables.
Yeah. And that, as much as how much I love numbers, Leo, I know that stuff inside and out. I can do it in my sleep, and I absolutely look at that stuff. So, shall we get to the actual topic of the episode?
Yes.
Now that we're halfway through the show.
Why don't you go ahead and just give your insurance tip of the week, and we'll save the rest for after the break.
Ooh, insurance tip of the week. Well, my insurance tip of the week for this one's going to actually come about flood insurance. Because it's raining today. Yeah, it's raining today. It's on everybody's mind. And the thing with flood insurance is we're starting to see a lot of carriers add it as an endorsement instead of as
I love that.
a standalone policy. So it's better for everybody, and we've seen it, especially in Pasco County. There's a particular carrier where we're adding flood insurance for $100 a year.
Wow!
And that's going to include water backup.
What does that mean?
So water backup is
like plumbing.
I call it poop coverage. It's basically when the sewer system or something like that backs up into your house. So it's and that's another thing that I always quote with, always recommend. It's usually a $25 endorsement to add water backup, and it'd be a pretty crappy day if that happened to you, and it'd be even worse if you called me and I told you, well, you didn't want to pay for it, so you don't have it. I'm sorry.
$100.
Right. So, but anyways, yeah. So that's a new thing. So always ask if you can add that to your policy.
There's so many things that are not covered under homeowners that I feel like should be. But
well, that you can probably get coverage for some of those things that you're talking about, but you got to pay for it, right? And you got to ask or know, or want to. Most people, even if they are in the $1 million price range on their home, they want the best price. Everybody's price sensitive these days, I'd say.
Yeah, definitely. But $100 is not break
Well,
the bank,
and that's
right?
flood
Like,
plus water backup. Normally, water backup by itself is like $25.
Yeah, that's a no-brainer.
Yeah,
for sure. Any coverage that cheap is worth it, I would say.
absolutely.
So our topic for the hour is actually going to be 8 factors that enhance the home's value. And so we're going to talk about some of these things, why they're important, what buyers actually look for when they are poking around through your house. But these are 8 factors. And this was a nice little report that Florida Association of Realtors does. They have a lot of these infographics that we can use that basically are really cool things that are spot on. So the thing I like about the Florida Realtors as opposed to the National Association of Realtors thing, it's more hyper local, right? So it's more applicable to our market over some of the national stuff.
I need this one explained when we get to it.
Which one?
Yeah, so one of the things on the 8 is fewer bedrooms. So it says the more bedrooms a home had, the less it appreciated since 2012. Homes with 1 bedroom increased by 7.2% per year. Those with 2 bedrooms increased 6.6%. 3 bedrooms 6.3%, and 4 bedrooms 4.9%.
You don't get houses with
Now,
1 bedroom. That has to be a condo.
I think that's just like a.
Well, it ties into the first one, right? Because it says small size. So I think, you can't have a small size and have 5 bedrooms.
Yeah, we'll talk about that and the other 6 when we come back right after the break. You're listening to Tampa Home Talk. Our off-air number is 813-377-2775. If you got a question, you can call or text us at 813-377-2775. We'll be back right after this break, so stick around.
Well, welcome back to Tampa Home Talk. This is Adam Talley with Talley Insurance, joined by Katrina Madewell with Keller Williams and the wonderful designated Mr. Leo Kane.
What am I
Big
designated
award
as?
winner.
Oh, award winning. I'm designated award winner. I will take that.
Yes. Awesome. Well, welcome back. So we're talking about the 8 factors that enhance the home's value.
Yeah, so the bedroom thing again,
Yeah, I don't get the
I think
bedroom
that's a
thing.
disregard, but it's on the list. Again, I didn't do it. Florida Realtors prepared this. And that, you know what? This makes sense because the report actually came from Realtor.com. So you'd think they'd hyper-local it a little bit, but it originally came from Realtor.com. So they're saying the small size. So over the last 5 years, homes under 1,200 square foot have been favorites of retirees and boomers and first-time home buyers, and they've appreciated by an average of 7.5% per year, while homes 2,400, double their size or larger, have risen just 3.8% per year. Again, this is national, so I would say it's not as hyper-local as it is here. One of the things that I'm sure plays into this report are the tiny homes. Remember, we've done shows on these before,
Right.
and those are like impossible to comp out. Lenders don't like them. Appraisers don't like them. I mean, I had this house in Odessa that was on the lake that was maybe 800 square foot, which is not a tiny home, but man, it felt like a tiny home. And I cannot tell you the number of appraisers that rejected that order.
Oh, my goodness.
Why would 800 square
ordered-
feet not be a tiny home? Is a tiny home like 600 and under?
I think it's like more like, 600 and under, 600 and under, yeah.
So like
Most-
condo sized.
Most of them are 400 to 500 square feet. I think it's under 6. I don't know what the actual
Tiny.
rules
That's like
are.
going to
I
IKEA.
couldn't live in that.
That's like going to IKEA and walking through these 500 square foot houses. The setups they have. They don't have the actual house.
I
but
think
the
they're
setups.
cool. I think it's so cool to walk through those and see that square footage.
Maybe like on a lake as a vacation place, but that couldn't
Yeah.
be my daily
Depends on how
life.
much time you spend at home, right?
I guess that's true.
If you're never home, I mean, we had one of the guys in a tiny home that literally said the one thing he couldn't get rid of was his big screen TV. And I'm like, what is that like? You're like this, like leaning back, looking at your big screen TV right in front of you,
It's all
but it
about-
actually looked okay.
It's all about field of view. You want to have ideally a 45-degree field of view. So that means that if you're putting a triangle in front of you, 45 degrees, and you look, if your whole visual is just that TV, you're perfect. Somewhere between 45 and 90, you get a little bit more like you have to look in different areas of the screen to see what you're looking at, and above 90, you start to get sick.
Was this a trivia question?
No, it's just
Science.
science. It's video
Above
gaming.
90, you start to get sick.
Yeah, because above 90, you're looking around so much, you can't focus on the TV.
Huh. Interesting.
Learned something new. That wasn't on your 8 factors.
No, I love Leo's little fun facts there.
Well, I'm a video gamer, so I have to know about field of view.
Makes sense. Got it.
Especially when you're playing those first-person shooters and you have something called a HUD, which is like a mini map or a radar in the lower right-hand corner, or you're looking at your bullet count in the lower left-hand corner. If your field of view is too big, you can't see any of that.
Makes sense. I watch my son play the video game, so I can relate a little, maybe.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. Like, the best video gamers in the world actually play on, like, 19-inch monitors because they can see everything.
Right there without having to ping their eyes.
Interesting.
So open floor plan was on this list, too, of the 8 factors that actually enhance a home's value. I can totally see this because, for example, that house I walked in last night did not have an open floor plan. That was one of the things that was really irritating to them about the house is the galley-style kitchen that wasn't open. They were bumping into each other. So great for first-time home buyers, not so much for, buyers looking. And the other thing in here was 2-car garage. We'll talk about that in a minute. So having an open floor plan led to an average of 7.4% appreciation per year and actually less desirable. So granite countertops, 2.5% annual appreciation. Stainless steel appliances, 3% annual appreciation. So again, if you're walking in, it's an open floor plan, you've got granite and stainless steel appliances, you're giving the appeal that your home is updated. That's going to be probably one of the biggest dollars you can put into your home.
But I thought granite was being replaced by quartz locally.
We're seeing both, and honestly, the lay person doesn't really notice them. Like the granite and the quartz, they kind of, when I'm in the field with buyers, unless they're higher end, they kind of think they're like one and the same. It's that whole solid surface stone type countertop. So quartz, obviously higher end, costs a little more, a little bit more neutral in color compared to some of the granite, which has a ton of color. But it's interesting. So from a structural perspective, you can't always open up your floor plan, right? So if you're thinking about your kitchen into your dining room, you can always do it with beams.
You can always open it up. I mean, you just put a beam. We worst case scenarios, you're looking at a JVL, which is a steel beam. But I mean, most of the time, 2x16s. You open it up. We can get CMU, which is block wall to block wall coverage. So
how expensive does that add to the cost? Like, what does that run roughly?
I mean, it's going to be more expensive than literally just knocking a wall down if you're adding a beam. But I mean, it's 2 pieces of 2x16 lumber with a couple of straps. It's really not that expensive.
He makes it sound so easy to structurally.
It is not difficult.
Like a house.
I mean, he is an engineer.
Yeah. That's why I asked him.
It's super easy. I mean, everyone's like, "Oh, it's load bearing. I can't do the project." I'm like, "No, you just cut a hole in the ceiling. You put some beams up, and you're good to go."
Well, you don't cut a hole in the ceiling. You want to hire a contractor.
Of course.
That's qualified to cut a hole in the ceiling.
Of course.
Let's be clear about that.
Well, I'm assuming these people aren't renovating their own kitchens.
You never know, right? You never know.
Oh, well, I will know if I inspect it.
Yeah, you will know if you inspect
I'll know instantly. That was done without a permit.
So homes with a view, that's a really good one too. Obviously, this is a national report because what it says on here is homes overlooking a park increased 7.9%. We see this firsthand for that client we have on Burlington. Mm-hmm. Adam, I know you're doing the insurance for them, but this one overlooks a park. Highly desirable. The Kenwood area, St. Pete. We got so many calls for this house. It's like... And I told my client, I'm like, if you don't want to buy it, it's totally okay because we have literally a waiting list of buyers for this house that love it. Those with mountain views obviously would not apply here, but it's 5.1% up.
I would love a mountain view.
Yeah, those
awesome.
with lake views, any type of lake or water views, 4.9%. We see that as well.
So I'm trying to take all 8 of these and try to figure out what type of home we'd have in this area, and I'm assuming it's going to be one of those new construction to look like a bungalow, probably over a park near downtown. Tampa Heights.
Tampa Heights.
Modern contemporary style was on here, so
that's what I'm saying.
It says
new
newer
style.
trumps older in architectural style. So the bungalow is an older architectural style, right? So it says the modern contemporary homes rising values by 7.7% per year, followed by the bungalows at 6.5%. Traditional was 5.6%, ranch 4.5%, craftsman 3.7%, and Victorian 2.2%. So we don't have a whole lot of Victorian, that sort of stuff here. But 2-car garages, so homes with space for 2 cars, appreciated by 6.4% annually versus those with a 1-car garage, only 6%. And those with a 3-car garage, just 3.8%. Again, I think that loops back to what we're talking about, the bedroom bathroom count. It kind of blends in, right? So an appraiser may make an adjustment if you have a 3-car garage versus a 2, same with a 1 versus a 2. I just think that if it's a 2-car garage, that's highly desirable by a wider number of buyers. So I think that's why this made the list for 8 factors that enhance a home's value. And then the right amenities. So homes with patios actually increase the value by 6.8% annually. So that's that whole outdoor living space, right? Ties into the view. I mean, I can totally see the house we're talking about and why it's desirable. While those with hardwood floors grew by 5.7% and those with fireplaces 5.3%.
So do those stack?
That's a deal breaker.
Do those stack? Do, like, if I have the countertops with the wood flooring, with the open kitchen, do I stack that 3, 5, 8? Do I go to like 15%?
I would say not.
So they don't stack.
It would make sense that you would just add this and say, yeah, that's my value, but that's not how it works.
No.
So again, we're going to look at your house, the square footage, pull 20% range, and just see what's out there. And then it's kind of like the appraiser and the real estate agent should be playing like a match game. So what has sold active that's a competition and pending that kind of looks just like your house, right? Like similar design and appeal, 2-car garage, similar size, has the same backyard features. Like we're looking for all of these sorts of things. The one I went to last night had a great view of the water, even though it was dark when I got there. We could still tell it's there, and it does have a value, right? There's a value associated with that. Buyers will pick something over a great view over something looking at a house. They just will. Mm-hmm. And so location, right? So homes in an urban area near mass transportation grew by 8.4%. That's you, Adam. In value per year, while those grew near good schools increased 7.2%. And those near shopping by 6.5%. So again, this is totally talking about you, right? With the location, 8.4% in the mass transit. If you have schools, that's when we see people like you move. We just do. That's the last time I moved, right? My oldest kid was starting school, and we moved to be in a better school district, and we have about 4 more years before we have no more kids in school.
So I had a question about that, because people will move for school districts and they'll adopt these huge mortgages just to be in a correct school district. Don't you have to weigh the cost of private schooling versus that before you actually do the move?
We did. Yeah, we did. Now you have to think about that. So we did look at private school because the fact of the matter is that house would have been paid off, but it was also smaller, right? So that was a little piece of the puzzle. And I had 3, so I would have been looking at private school for 3.
Okay.
And that cost is every year.
Yeah, that cost is every year.
Yeah.
It doesn't go down typically either. Just,
No, yeah, it goes up every year.
I tell you, I bought my house before the market crash. So I've been in my home almost 16 years. Mm-hmm. And it's so depressing, right? Like doing these values year after year after year, and the value of your own home like doesn't go up for a long time. And so I just did like a CMA on my own house, which by the way, you would think as real estate agents we do that all the time, but we really don't.
Right.
We never look at the comps or anything unless we're selling the house or just curious about the value. We'll have an appraiser coming, and basically I did my comps and I got a value of around $350, and their ARV, which is like an automated value, came in at $360 something. I was like, I think that's a little high. You know, if I were to list my home, it would be $350. But I tell you what the kicker was. I started itemizing like everything we've updated, improved, or changed in the last 10 years. Want to take a guess what that price tag was?
Oh,
25.
Oh no.
No, I just did mine. It's depressing.
How much was yours? How long have you been in your house?
It's 6 years.
And?
I don't want to say on the air.
Come on, say it.
I don't want to say on the air.
What did you do?
This year, well, I had to repair the Hurricane Irma damage. My carport, which is in the process of being rebuilt, we had to replace all the bad wooded siding on the side of the house. We had to reset windows.
Yours is literally like not even anything pretty. It's all structural stuff.
Yeah. No, I did nothing pretty. We had to take the secondary roof out of the attic. We had to put insulation in. We had to repair some piers. We had to replace the back deck. We renovated the entire rear house.
Good thing you're an engineer. You can do some of these things, right?
I could do the design.
Did you cash flow all that?
Yes. I actually got to the point where I needed to calculate that this is the type price we bought the house for. Here's my BPO if we sold today. Mm-hmm. This is the amount of money we put into it. This is the amount of money we're going to put into it. If that didn't work, we were moving.
Huh. Wow. Interesting. All right, so we'll talk about that a little more anyway, even though you don't want to when we come back after the break.
No,
and you know what? I'll go ahead and pull my list because I'm sure I'll forget some stuff of some things we've done. We'll talk about it when we come back.
Well, good morning. Welcome back. Final segment, 8 factors to enhance a home's value. Here with Adam Talley, Katrina Madewell, Leo Kane. We're arguing about this. This is a nice little, this is not a small house, the diagram of the 8 pieces.
So
It's also not a pyramid or something. I don't know about all these shapes. So do the shapes have different values?
I think it's just cutesy. It's meant to be cutesy.
I can't really understand this. There's too many number increases. They don't stack. They don't play into each other. You got to have a small house that's 500 square feet with a 2-car garage. 2-car garages are typically 800 square feet. I don't get it.
Well, it says under 1,200, but I think in my vision for this perfect house, it's going to just increase 35% year over year. I'm assuming it's a detached garage.
Yeah, our increase is definitely not 35% year over year.
Well, we're adding all those together, for this dream
I'm just
home.
thinking like I always say the standard 3-2, 1,500 square foot house is basically 1,200 feet with a 2-car garage.
Yeah,
Yeah.
probably.
So here's some of the specs on my home, and I'll tell you about some of the improvements. Some of these are not all fun, right? Like there's a roof in that number.
Roofs are fun.
Roof claims are fun.
Well, no, it wasn't a claim. It was a cash price. But anyway, 4 bedrooms, 2 bath, 2-car garage, 2,200 square foot, kind of the average home, right? Pool, 0.28 of an acre, newer design, build, construction, water frontage, so conservation, all trees, no neighbors. And so I pulled a bunch of comps and stuff, sent it to this appraiser. So we got our roof done 2012. Did the moisture barrier underlay on the whole roof, as well as ridge vents weren't installed, so that needed to happen. So that was $18,000 of that, which was not. If you've ever had to replace a roof, it's like the most painful thing you'll ever save money for. It was not anything we wanted to.
No, foundation, if you live with a crawl space in a 100-year-old home, that could be the most painful.
Yeah,
or wood siding is the most painful. Roof, I welcome. That's something you can see.
So new AC, new hot water heater, new exterior paint, new interior paint. So one of the things we also did to change the aesthetics is we rounded a lot of our corners. That was a process. That took a long time, but that was cool. We did 2 solar attic fans in the solar tube lighting. Remember Renee from Daylight Concepts?
Yeah, it was fun.
So I installed 2 solar attic fans in my house.
After the show?
Yeah, not long after the show.
That's awesome.
And a solar tube. So that has the lighting in the kitchen, more natural light. With the way my home is set up, the kitchen's the hub of the home right in the middle. And so the living area, everything else is kind of built around it. So there's natural light there, but it just brought in more natural light where you don't even have to turn on the lights if you don't want to.
That's awesome.
So new kitchen with custom cabinets, hardware, farm sink, extended island, really large, level 2 granite. Was more than half of what I spent in the last 10 years. Both bathrooms, cabinets were updated, all the fixtures updated, everything's been replaced.
Holy smokes.
New carpet in a couple of the bedrooms, new travertine flooring, updated lighting and fans, new fencing, new garage door opener. Whew, that was $2,000.
You might as well just found a new house.
Yeah, it's not the same. Like when you look at the MLS pictures before and you look at it now, it's not the same at all. All new door hardwares replaced, like also the knobs. We changed all the gold knobs to like the oil rub bronze, which will be dated in 10 years, I'm sure. But anyway, updated the fireplace. So we took that out and put in the glass, the fire glass, and new 4-inch baseboards, all new covers, plugs, light switches. So we went from the little switches like that to the big rocker switches.
What are the big? Oh yeah, the big rockers. Those
Changed
are fun.
all the island plugs, so it has the USB plugs and extra plugs. Pool heater. Isn't that exciting?
Oh my
See what you have to look
goodness.
forward to.
So you're going to spend the entire fourth
So-
segment talking about just the updates.
Well,
This,
so
this list keeps going and going.
the point
and
is,
going.
this is over a period of about 10 years. We cash flowed all of this, so we didn't finance any of it. We paid all of it cash.
Dave would be proud
bit
of
at a
you.
time. Yeah,
I'm
well, it
proud
was
of you.
almost $150,000. When you start tacking on like roof, all that stuff, like the travertine alone, I can't tell you how long we saved for that. Like we bought 2 pallets of travertine and really should have bought more. And that was all in the main part of the house. And then we ended up spending a little bit more in our bathroom because we put travertine in there. We did a full bathroom reno.
Now, the real question: all those updates. Are you as far as an appraised value or sale value? Are you getting all that back?
No.
Okay.
No. I mean, I paid $275 for my house. I valued it myself at around $350. I'll let you know what the appraiser says it's worth. It could be more or less.
You're going to sell it to yourself for $350?
No, I'm not. We're going to do a line of credit. We still have to do our pool, just because I want to have cash on hand for something I want to buy. The market shifts and all that stuff. I got a 15-year mortgage, so that'll be paid off. I just want access to cash. There's nothing wrong with that, right?
No. Dave would be proud.
Yeah. Well, not about the line of credit, but that's okay.
Access to cash.
What Dave doesn't know won't hurt him. You know?
Well, I mean, we don't carry
listens to
debt.
every one of his LP shows.
Does he really?
We don't carry debt, so I don't think it really matters in the grand scheme of things. But the interesting thing when I'm looking through all these comps, so many of them were comparable in terms of size and like on the water with a pool, that sort of stuff. But so many of them did not have any updates at all. So the point is, using myself as an example, my house is really probably almost over improved, really. However, it's, we did the improvements we made to live there. Like, we did it to enjoy the renovations that we made. So my big takeaway that I want you to take from this is do the renovations that make you happy, but be careful not to over improve your house if you're trying to sell it. And so that's where I would come in. And again, if I came in and looked at my house before and I looked at everything I've done now and I was going to sell it, and I asked myself the question I asked all my sellers, what's your listing budget? It would not be that price, right? Because I know I wouldn't get that back. But we're going to spend the time and the money where it makes the most sense, and your return on investment is way more than dollar for dollar.
Right.
Like, we're looking for 10 to 15 for every $1 you spend.
Wow.
So, and a pool is one of those things as well, right? Like, we already had a pool, but if we were installing it, you never get dollar for dollar.
Yeah.
On a pool.
Actually, I think you get, 20 cents on the dollar for the pool?
That's bad.
Yeah.
What does the average pool cost to put in?
With a deck, without a deck? I mean, the pool itself.
Let's say a deck and a screen lanai, right?
You're looking at $35,000 for the pool. You're looking at another $20,000 to $25,000 for the patio area, and then probably another $8,000 to $10,000 for the screen.
At least.
Oh,
speaking of screens, real quick.
So that's $70,000. You know how much an appraiser is?
60 to 70 grand.
Do you know how much an appraiser is going to give you for a value on your house with the pool?
10 to 15.
Yeah, maybe 20 if you're lucky. I'll let you know my line item adjustment.
Yeah, but I mean, this is about right. 35 for the pool, 25 for the patio, and then 10 for the screen.
Yeah.
70.
So if you want a house with a pool, get it already
Hey,
in.
real quick on those screens, though. Speaking about things that aren't covered, a lot of carriers aren't covering that screen enclosure for hurricanes. You have to add it back in by endorsement. So keep that in mind when
That's
you're looking at your
crazy to me.
insurance. It's ridiculous. And it's pricey. It's a pricey
It
endorsement,
reminds
too.
me when State Farm dropped my coverage and I had to get insurance through Citizens, and I had these perfectly round golf ball size holes in the top of my screen lanai. They were trying to say was not hail, but anyway.
I don't understand why insurance companies are so hesitant to insure something that has the strength of a soda can.
We're out of time. Our off-air number is 813-377-2775. We'll be back for hour number 2 with Sarah Cookie at Summit Mortgage, official show partner of Tampa Home Talk. Again, 813-377-2775. Remember, love where you live, we're going to fix it. Maybe not an hour or 2, but we'll be back. Stick around.